about 5 minutes or so. Less. I don't know what time it is. Okay. Hi. How you doing?
All right, how you doing?
Great.
I think we're live on Facebook now. And I'm about to hit the record button. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Okay.
What's going on, Forest Hill and the Everman family? This is your host with the most, Willie Beeman, back in the building one more time for you guys. We are here. It has kicked off the month of October, our very own live podcast, Ordinary Conversations with Extraordinary People, man. We are excited that the moment is here. Come see about us, 6962 Forest Hill Drive in the great, beautiful city of Forest Hill, Texas, man. So I was going to get this thing kicked off and share with you guys who we have sitting to the left of me. This guy, he is a soulful guitarist and singer, electrifying vocalist in the history of blues music. To kind of show you guys who he has worked with, he has graced stages and toured with legends like Bobby Blue Bland, Wanda King, Alex Moore, and many more, but we'll get into that. He's also a Dallas, Texas native. I want you guys to make some noise for my guy, my brother, Robert Sullivan, aka Texas Slim. Appreciate you, Texas Slim, for being part of this journey with us, man. Helping us go to the next level with our library. Appreciate you being our first guest. And I want to thank you, man, for also being a part of our concert we had back in June. Everybody loves you, man. You were amazing. You had a great band. And like we talked about earlier prior to this podcast even kicking off, of how people can expect certain things when they go to certain concerts and things like that. And when they hear you, they're like, oh, we didn't expect that to come from this guy. So we definitely had a great time, man, for our concert back in June. It was amazing. You had everybody on the dance floor. Even Miss Kiki and her crew on the dance floor. Yes. Everybody having a great time. You guys brought a high level of energy. So I definitely want to honor you, man, and give you your flowers and the thing that you were able to do and bring us all together. And so I do want to take a moment. I know we talked about working with a lot of different people. I know you mentioned people that you've worked with in the past, and whether it be jazz, classical, R&B, and different bands and stuff like that. And so, how important is working with a group of people to make sure that the fans get what they need?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir.
And it's very important to work with as many artists as you can.
Right.
It gives you a versatile side to your music, so you're not just one side. You're not just all to yourself. To understand what other people want and need gives you more insight into your own self. And so that's, I guess that's probably the main thing about me is that all the artists that I've worked with have been influences as well.
Okay, that's very important, man. Prior to you becoming well known for your success, throughout the blues community,
Yes.
What was Robert Sullivan like growing up as a child before we get into?
Well, I loved music always, and from our first record player that I can remember, I was just mesmerized by the music. And I'm the youngest of four. My two brothers both play guitars, and apparently I used to sneak into their room and play their guitar, but they weren't at home. Because when I got my first guitar for Christmas when I was about 7 years old, I already knew how to play. They're like scratching their head, but wait a minute, how can you already play?
So even starting there early on, was it just already a desire of learning how to play, or you just stumbled into learning to play the guitar?
You know, I guess as a kid, you're motivated by the energy. Maybe just like if you get into sports or anything like that, you know, there's an energy that you know that's going to be with you for a long time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Me being in a totally different space, I'm more in the dance, choreography type space, so I understand the gift, I understand the work it takes behind it, I understand working with, collaborating with other dance choreographers and stuff like that. So I definitely think that's important. Learning, you know, early on, that way you can have, you know, the longevity and be able to work with other people. And so I want you to take a moment as we dive into some of the people that you've worked with. Share with our viewers and listeners your experience working alongside the legendary Alex Moore.
Okay.
And also with that, the backstory on how he gave you the nickname, or stage name, Texas Slim.
Yes. So, okay, this all ties into my mother being a career librarian.
Right.
And she worked at the Dallas Public Library downtown. And they used to have a noontime concert series once a week. And I was so into music, and I had already gotten into the blues through my records. And so she noted there was a blues artist going to be performing. And so she arranged for me to be there. I had to miss school one day. So I had to miss school to go see Alex. But Alex was a boogie pianist that recorded all the way back in 1929. And I just, you know, as soon as I heard this music, I knew it would be the kind of music I would like for my whole life.
Right.
I knew immediately that the blues was special. I could feel the heart and soul into it. And so after his show, I just walked up to him and introduced myself. And he was a very sweet, personable guy. And next thing I know, we had arranged to have him over to our house for dinner and play music together. And a few years later, he said, "We gotta get you a name." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess Robert Sullivan's not very bluesy." I go, "Yeah, you know, my dad calls me Slick or Slim sometimes." I go, and I like the regional thing. I'm like, "What about Texas Slim?" He goes, "That's it. You have to use that name." I said, "I promise I will always use that name. I will always play the blues."
Wow, that's an amazing story. So going back to you learning how to play and learning different instruments, do you play other instruments outside of the guitar, or is it just guitar?
No, I do. I play the drums, and I can do piano, and I can do a little bit of harmonica, just, you know, a few things. Anytime I need a certain texture, there's usually something I can figure out. I play the bass, you know, just whatever I can, wherever I'm needed.
Right. And pinpointing that, I want to use this analogy of basketball. I'm pretty sure you're a basketball fan. So think about the game of basketball. There's 5 players that's on the court for that specific team, and each player has a specific role, whether it be a point guard, shooting guard, center, small forward. But all of them come together as a collective body to make sure that, you know, to win the game or whatever, you know, playoff or championship, wherever their goal is, they all come together to make sure that they win. is in place. So for you being in the blues space and having the band, how important is it making sure that you and your crew on point, you know, to give a great performance?
It's very important, just like you said in basketball. It's not just the high point scorer, it's everybody that goes into working in their specific role. In other words, they wouldn't be able to score like that if they didn't have a team around them. So, in any kind of music, it's important that the band that we're not 5 or 4 individuals so much as we are one team or one sound. We're all coming together to make one thing.
Yeah, that's definitely important. Going back to what you said, coming together as a collective body, and you know, one thing I'm learning is when you do have a team, you do have whether it be a band or a dance team, you want to make sure that there's no ego involved. You want to make sure none of those things are out the window. So when you guys come together, you understand the goal, you understand the objective. You want to make sure that you give the fans, you know, what they need. And so I definitely think that's definitely important. Did you always have a passion for wanting to become a guitar player and singer, or were there other things that you had a desire to do?
There was one time, probably in about the 3rd grade, where I was taking judo lessons and playing soccer and guitar lessons. And my mom was like, we can't afford all of this. I'm like, oh, that's easy, I quit guitar. Because I knew I was going to be able to continue to play the guitar, and that I was learning on my own real rapidly, and it was actually my favorite thing. But I knew that the sports wouldn't last forever, but the guitar would. Yeah. So that was a decision. And yeah, there's always been other things I was interested in, but really from the first time I played the guitar, I knew it was forever. Absolutely forever.
Wow. So for you, how long have you been playing the guitar?
Since at least age 7. And I'm 61 now, so that's a long time.
Yeah, a long time in the game.
Yeah.
Definitely want to stop there as we continue to go on with this episode. So now I want to, give you an opportunity, man, for our viewers and listeners to, play something. I know you were playing a few things prior, offset, so whatever you choose to play, man, we'll get back to some questions.
Absolutely.
want to get into that part. How did first of all, how long have you been drinking coffee?
Well, I guess since about, high school, my mom finally let me start drinking coffee. And it just became a theme with me. And as a matter of fact, I've written songs about coffee for every CD and cassette that I've ever released.
Wow. Yeah, I'm definitely a huge coffee drinker too. So when you mention it, I'm like, make sure I have some coffee for Texas Slim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. In the early 1980s, you started being mentored by someone named Little Joe Blue.
That's right.
An American electric blues singer and guitarist. How much of an impact did he have on your journey in your music career?
Really big because I was already into it, and I had a lot of influences through records and radio and things, but I'd never really been up close with a band that toured the world and was world famous. And being around Little Joe Blue, as soon as I heard him, I really knew that was a style that was going to influence me forever. Him and his band had migrated from Mississippi to the Dallas area, so they're all Mississippi guys. But I fell in love with their style and their sound. It was very authentic, very traditional, and then yet they also had a modern side too.
Yeah.
So all of that really appealed to me, and even his guitar sound is still something that's present in my tone.
Wow. So pinpointing that, who were some other inspirations that you had growing up that impacted you?
I'm a big fan, of course, of B.B. King.
Oh, yeah.
And Freddie King, who was from the Dallas area. Actually, Freddie was from East Texas, but he lived in Dallas as well. And a lot of those cats, it's their guitar attack and tone that really appealed to me, and it gave me a sense of you play with heart, and it's not so much how fast you can play or anything like that. It's what you say. It's speaking in sentences.
Yeah, that's important. Realizing what you guys do, I definitely think it's a way of storytelling.
Yes.
In regards to music, in regards to sound quality. So my question would be, if your guitar could tell a story, what would that story be?
Well, my story would be that I'm a white kid from North Dallas that fell in love with the blues.
Yeah.
And the blues chooses you. You don't choose the blues. The blues chooses you. And so once you're in that grip, it's forever. And I knew that I would play blues forever since probably age 16.
Wow.
So, hearing my records and it just goes through. It just gets in your blood and it's permanent.
Right. Do you have any song that you create? I know you mentioned your brothers, playing guitars.
Yes.
You guys have any collaborations together?
I began playing in my brother's high school rock and roll band.
Oh, that's cool.
Before I really realized what blues was. So probably age 12 or 13, I was playing bass and drums and guitar wherever it was needed in the rock bands. And once I started, one of the guys, Randy Venturcutt, turned me on to blues. He said, "You need to listen to this record right here." I heard that record. It was Lightning Hopkins, and I was like, "Okay." So all this stuff I've been listening to has the blues in it.
Yeah.
I can hear that now. I can make all these connections. Everything has blues in it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the roots of everything.
Yeah, I definitely agree. When I was definitely reading your bio and studying people that you worked with, listening to some of their songs, I could definitely tell that the root of everything is blues music.
Yeah.
So if you could give our viewers and listeners a definition of blues, what would that definition be?
It's the roots music that was born in without education. So if jazz is sophisticated and educated, blues is from the country where there's less education.
Yeah.
So everything has to be learned on your own and with your own heart. So there's not so much music theory involved around blues as much as there is just sheer feeling.
Wow. Yeah, I can definitely agree to that pinpointing. Like I mentioned earlier, being in the dance space, it's just something that that's ingrained in you. And it's something that you just learn as you go. Of course, you have different styles of dance, choreography, different ways, but it's something that's been birthed in me since I was a little kid as well, alongside you being in the blues space. So going back to some people that you work with as well, Bobby Blue Bland.
Okay, well now Bobby Bland, I've just opened for him. I haven't played in his band. I opened for him a couple of times with Wanda King, when you open for an icon like that, you don't talk about starstruck.
Yes.
We just we're there. I guess it's that way for anybody, but in blues, you meet somebody that's done it that long and is that prolific, you're just in awe of just being around them. And particularly if you get to speak to them and they're nice to you and they seem interested that you care.
Yeah.
And that Bobby certainly was friendly and nice and inspiration in that way. But I was with the Wanda King band both times that we opened for Bobby Bland and got to meet him.
Yeah, that's cool. How was it, I guess, backstage, getting to know him and kind of knowing the person he is?
Great. I mean, for one thing, you're careful. You don't want to take up too much of their time because when a performer is getting ready for a big concert, they need some time to themselves to just become that person when they go out on stage. So I was always maybe not too over talkative. I didn't want to take up too much of his time, but just in awe of his sheer presence.
Wow.
And I've been very fortunate. There's a lot of people that I've been able to meet a lot of my big heroes.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Okay. Going back to heroes outside of Bobby Blue Bland, who else have you had the ability to work with?
Johnny Winter was a big influence of mine. Johnny Winter was Johnny and Edgar Winter were albino Texas brothers from Beaumont, Texas. And Johnny, like me, became immersed in blues, and whereas he was first known as rock, he became blues and never changed again. So I got to open for him 5 times. So and meet him a bunch of times. So he recognized me, and that was a big deal because he was, way up, one of my biggest heroes of all time.
Wow. Going back to Bobby Blue Bland, who was known for his blended sound of gospel mixed with blues and R&B, having blended genres. I was studying him, and it was saying that his style and approach came from studying Detroit preacher sermons. Something that I was reading. I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting to understand songwriting and understand your creative process. So for you, what's your approach when it comes to perfecting your craft?
My approach is be true to myself. And that includes using all your influences, but never actually just copying them note for note. So I absorb everything, but I don't try to really copy. anything. I try to have my own sound, my own approach.
Yeah. I definitely think that's important. One thing that I've heard from a business leader of mine, he always says that the best work you can do is the work you do on yourself. So yeah, we can sponge and we can soak up things from other musicians and things like that, but you never want to try to be them. And I've always been taught just to be yourself.
Yes.
Whoever you've been created to be, you can be that person.
And my heroes have been good to say that. To say, don't just copy me, be yourself. A lot of them would say, you already have a good start. You already have your own sound. Keep going with that.
Yeah.
You don't need to copy anybody. You just keep doing what you're doing,
Yeah. So was that, I guess, heading in that direction and keeping your own sound, was that difficult to you, even though you had inspirations from other people, or did you just like...
No, it seemed like the natural thing to do. It
Yeah.
did seem like the natural thing to do. And when you get down to it, I mean, most people aren't great at perfecting copying something.
Yeah.
It's always going to sound a little bit different. So it's best to just go with that and sound more different. Just let yourself be yourself.
Yeah.
It's going to always be the best thing you can do.
Yeah, I'm definitely with that. So we'll pinpoint there, and we'll keep this thing going, keep this thing moving, and you can bless us, man, with another one, one of your pieces, man, whatever you feel. We're definitely enjoying it. Love it.
I would like to say that I went to high school at Arts Magnet High School,
Okay.
Booker T. Washington, and I was already known as the blues person. And so on my senior recital, they allowed me to do a blues song and play for them.
Okay, let's do it.
Oh Lord, Lord, oh Lord, Lord, oh how it hurts me for us to part. So baby, I ain't worried my life anymore. You're on my mind. Every place I go, how much I love you, nobody knows. Someday, baby, I ain't worried my life anymore. You're on my mind, every place I go. How much I love you, nobody knows. Someday, babe, I ain't worried my life anymore. Now that's my story. All I got to say to you, goodbye, baby. So sad we're through. Someday, baby, I ain't gonna worry my life anymore.
That was great, man.
Thank you.
That was great.
Thank you.
Going back to the recital, how old were you?
My senior recital, I guess you're 18, I guess, when you're senior in high school. So I was 18.
Were you nervous?
Sure. Recital was a big part of our final grade. It was like a final exam.
Oh, wow.
So for our music courses, so I did my classical piece and my jazz piece, and they're like, because we know you and that you studied this on your own, we want you to play a blues, so you can and show people why you're here.
Wow. Okay. In 2006, you and your band had the opportunity to gain filming and commercial success partnering with Dave's Barbecue.
That's right,
So,
famous Dave's.
How did that connection come about?
Well, okay, Wanda King was doing a concert series back then. She didn't perform all of them. She booked Johnny Winter. And so she's like, I want you to open for Johnny Winter. So this was at the Granada Theater in Dallas. And a big concert, big sold out show. And the famous Dave's people were wanting to use Johnny Winter for the commercial. So they were based out of Minneapolis. And so they flew down from Minnesota to see the show. And they noticed that Johnny had broke his hip and was unable to stand, which was a major part of the commercial. That it required somebody that could stand for 16 hours for at least one day. And so they loved his music. They were like, this is not going to work, for what we have in mind, And so the way I understand it, that the executives, when they hopped on a plane the next day, is the president said, hey, what about that band that opened for Johnny? So you know what, they were good. And said, so I like the guy who was talking about me. So I like the guy who was dressed up, had a nice hat, nice clothes. I said, you know what, I think they can do it. So I literally got an email the next day and asking if I was interested, and we just took it from there. And ended up doing a commercial. The director of the commercial at the time was famous for doing live DVDs of bands, and he had just won a Grammy for doing the Bruce Springsteen live video. So we were directed by a Grammy-winning director.
Wow.
It was cool. I had my own trailer, like a movie star. It was crazy.
How long did the commercial air? How many states?
The commercial aired in 33 states.
That's amazing.
And it lasted for 18 months. And there were actually several versions of the commercial. Now, being based in Minneapolis, they did all the final editing and final mixing at Prince's studio.
Wow. Man, it seemed like you had a lot of connections.
Yeah. It was a big deal. It really was. And it was fabulous.
Wow. Also, studying your bio, I read that you performed at the Hard Rock Cafe.
Yes, the Hard Rock Cafe, of course, is a restaurant that had been around for several years with rock and roll memorabilia on the walls.
Yeah.
But they had never had live music. And so in the early 90s, a friend of mine was working there and decided, you know what, we're going to have live music. And we want you to play. I'm like, oh, this is great. They didn't tell me till later that no one had ever played at Hard Rock before.
Wow.
And that I was the very first. And to let you know how big that was, James Brown was the second.
Wow.
I was the first, and James Brown was the second.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's cool. How was your experience, I guess? What was the reaction from the people that was?
Great. I mean, there was a Hard Rock in Dallas. There were Hard Rocks all over the country.
Yeah.
And so we actually ended up doing, we went to Orlando and played the Hard Rock that was there. And it was a big deal. There was movie stars there and stuff like that. It was turned into a big deal. Now, to relate something, a few years later, some of the people from the executives from Hard Rock broke off and started an all blues thing called the House of Blues.
Yes.
So I'm also one of the first artists to ever play House of Blues.
Wow.
Not the first,
Yeah,
but like I was hard rock, but one of the first to play House of Blues.
Wow.
And so they're all over the place too now. And they're basically like a hard rock, but only blues.
Wow. Give me your top 5 Mount Rushmore blues singers of all time.
Well, that's a tough one. Well, I'm going to go with my top influences. I have to say Alex Moore, even though he's lesser known because he was back from the oldest era. He meant the most to me, giving me my name and my inspiration. Now, Little Joe Blue, like I said, I got a lot of my guitar tone from him, in the electric blues, and Freddie King, also guitar tone, style, modernism. Lightning Hopkins, which would be your 30s, 40s. He really didn't record till the 40s, but it was an older style, a solo acoustic style like what I'm playing today. It's mostly the Lightning Hopkins sound.
Wow.
And let's see if I did one more. I don't know, maybe Blind Lemon Jefferson, just to stay all the way back. One of the original artists to record on Paramount Records in the 1920s. And so I love the history. I love old as much as new.
That's cool. So going back to the instruments, is there a different sound approach when it comes to acoustic and electric guitar?
Yes, a big difference. A lot of times with acoustic, you're by yourself. So I don't have a band behind me. I don't have anything. It's just me in here, me and the guitar.
Yeah.
And so the approach is different. You want to keep a rhythm going. When I have a band, I can lay off the guitar for a while and just clown or whatever.
Yeah. We saw that. Yeah, definitely back in June.
Yeah. But so yeah, the approach is very different for band versus solo.
Gotcha. Now this one here, as I was studying your bio as well, I want you to take a moment to share, with our viewers and listeners, the discipline and mindset behind your 2009 European tour.
Oh, around 2009?
I think it was 2009, European tour.
Oh, yes. 2009 is the first time I went to Europe.
Yeah.
I was touring with a great lady, Miss E.C. Scott, and she got a European tour booked. Well, I had a record out that had just gotten I just got a distribution deal in Belgium for my record. So when we got to Europe, we were part of a package that included Sonny Rhodes, great lap steel player, and R.J. Michaud, a master harmonica player, and Miss E.C. Scott. And then we learned as I got there, I had my own sets as well. So I would actually, during the package, when we would all four perform, I played with all four. So I would start with my own music, then bring up R.J. Michaud, then bring up E.C. Scott, then bring up Sonny Rhodes. And then we also would divide up and have our own separate concerts as well. So, but I began going to Europe for the next 5 years. I went by myself and used a Europe band over there. I built myself up really big. I noticed that at least by 2012, I was headlining festivals that had 20 and 30,000 people. And I'd be like, oh, who's the headliner? They'd be like, Slim, it's you. Oh yeah, I forgot. Don't worry, I got this.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So knowing that you've been in this blues space for a long period of time, it seems like, what do you do, man, to decompress and still away and make sure that you're refreshed?
I guess I'm a homebody, like a lot of folks. I like to sit at home and drink coffee with my wife. I play my records at home, and I watch sports, just regular guy stuff. I guess.
I got you. You have a studio at home as well?
I don't have a home studio, but most of my friends do, so I have a lot of access to being able to record and everything. And I'm going to start working on a new record here pretty soon. I'm real excited about that because I haven't had a record in 10 years.
Yeah.
I guess to tie in what we were just talking about, in 2014, my European promoter retired. He had been in the business since 1974. So he retired, and I was back home playing, kind of wondering what the next phase would be.
Wow.
And a guy came up to me and said, "Hey, Slim, I know you got your own thing. You're big, man. You're well known, and you got your own thing. You probably won't be interested in this." He goes, "But Zach Harmon wants you to come join his band, play rhythm guitar, be a support role." Right?
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about
Basketball, exactly.
Support role. He goes, "But Zach goes to Europe all the time." I'm like, "Yeah, I missed that. I want to do that." So I joined up with Zach Harmon. Zach Harmon's one of the major blues artists out there today. He's got a new record right now. It's got a song that's #1 on the soul blues charts.
Wow.
And we during the time that I was with him, we had a song, Mississippi Barbecue, was #1 on the soul blues charts for 36 weeks.
Wow, that's a very long time.
Yeah, and we toured all over Europe. We went all the time. So all in all, I went 14 times on my own and 13 more times with Zach Harmon. So I've toured Europe 27 times.
Wow.
We count.
Nothing does it for you.
We count.
Wow, I've never been to Europe, man. So that's amazing. Going back to, I know we talked offset about your wife and her helping you along the way and stuff like that. So, what impact has your wife had on you in regards to helping you manage the longevity in your music career?
Well, music life is a tough life.
Yeah.
You travel a lot. You're away from home. You're paid by your work, so it's not like you have a regular salary.
Yeah.
If you're not working, you're not making anything.
Yeah,
so
true.
To have a wife like mine, Lisa Kelly, that understands all that, it's very important because it's tough. You have to know in advance what you're getting into. If you marry a musician, women, men, whoever out there is listening, if you're with a musician, please understand that music is their life, it's their first love, and you're their #1 love, but the music has got to be part of your life, and you can't just stop. I got to do this for the rest of my life to be happy.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. We're going to pinpoint there, and we're going to continue to keep this show rolling. Once you drop us, let's do with another track or whatever comes to mind.
All right. Walking down the street of Houston town, thing I see staring at my feet was a mojo laying right there in the street. To be my lucky mojo, lucky mojo, a lucky mojo, lucky mojo. Never look else change. All the women know my name. Picked it right up, held it in my hand. The power of the mojo I didn't understand. If you don't try it, how can you not? I clenched it with my fist and put it in my pocket. To be my lucky mojo, lucky mojo, a lucky mojo, lucky mojo. I never look else change. All the women know my name. Walked on down that downtown street when I noticed all the women smiling at me. The mojo sure did work in a hurry. I'm a lucky man. I don't have to worry for my lucky mojo, lucky mojo, my lucky mojo, lucky mojo. Never look else change. All the pretty women know my name. You know why? Be the lucky mojo, lucky mojo, a lucky mojo, a lucky mojo. Come be the lucky mojo, lucky mojo, a lucky mojo, lucky mojo. Never look else change. All the women know my name.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
That's Lucky Mojo. That was my big hit over in Europe. Yes, I had a hit song.
That's good. That's good. So we want to kind of pivot. Yes, our audience had some questions they would like to
Sure.
ask. I guess one of them was, do you have children?
Yes, I have a 36-year-old son that's also a musician.
Okay.
And strange as it might seem, he loves the same old blues that his dad. Yeah, and I mean, literally, I would never expect. Usually, kids don't like what their parents like.
Yeah.
Normally they don't really, jump to that. But I guess like me, he got bit by the bug. First time I heard blues, I knew I loved it. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be liking this music forever. It's not going to be. This is not a fad. This is forever. But yes, my son Pete Miller, shout out.
That's cool. That's cool. That's good stuff. So does he learn a lot, from you, or does he learn from other people that he?
I would say, he learned about blues from me, but he's good about doing his own research and coming about things his own way. So, whereas I like to take a lot of credit, I really have to say he did a lot on his own.
Yeah.
He did a lot of research on his own.
That's good. I know we talked about that off script, of how you mentioned that blues is something that you just learn as you go. There's no education for it. There's no book. It's just something that's already embedded in you. So that's amazing. The fact that you have your son has the same drive, inspiration.
Yeah.
That you have.
One thing that I would like to bring up is that, and then he really gets this too, is that blues is also a study of culture.
Yes.
And so while there's maybe not so much notes written to learn, you need to know about the culture. And to put it this way, it's you need to know not just the notes, but why they're there.
Yeah.
Why are the notes there? Why do they sound like that? And I believe learning the culture and background and history is very important.
Yeah, I think that's very important because it helps you understand, what route to take, your own creativity, knowing the history behind it. And so that's very, very important.
That's why I studied all the different eras.
Right.
From 1920s through today, all the blues is good and it's all important.
Yeah.
It all you watch the growth.
Yeah.
And that's key. That's very important.
So what would be the difference between the blues back then compared to the blues in today's society?
Well, more back then, more of the blues was solo or country blues.
Yeah.
Country referring to just from the farm. Okay, so a lot of the artists were just guitar and themselves, or just a piano and themselves, or even just a harmonica and themselves. Back then, in the cities, you would get duos, and then you got to where there were street bands. And then as you get up to the 1940s, there were big bands, because another thing that blues not only is the roots of other music, but it also borrows from all the other kinds of music that it created.
Yeah.
So you hear now we have in modern blues, we have soul influence, jazz influence, rock influence, even hip hop influence. Everything comes back around and blends with blues.
Yeah, I agree with that. What would be some advice you would give to the next generation of blues musicians? What are some important things they need to hear from you?
Do your research.
Yeah.
Learn about culture, because anybody can learn the notes. You need to know why they're there. You need to know some type of history about the music, and also be yourself. Don't just copy somebody else's notes, because again, that's something that anybody can do. So you use your influences to let them get inside you more than just the notes that they're playing.
Yeah.
That's my advice, is don't copy anything note for note. Absorb it and do it your own way.
Yeah. Going back to what we talked about earlier, even though we learn from other people, make sure it's your own style.
That's correct.
It's your own approach. What's the most surprising positive feedback you received by the song that you wrote from like a fan or whoever?
Well, I've heard some of the most, that's a tough one. I've heard some of the most crazy compliments that would floor me or even make me cry.
Wow.
Because when obviously blues is not hit music. It's not something that goes into the charts and then it's gone. It's just something that's always about right here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when you put your whole life into it and then you get a big compliment, it means so much. I don't know, I don't think I'll even say anything physical other than, I've had encores and cheering, the crowd cheering. Sometimes it just overwhelms you, and you're outside of yourself, going, I can't believe I got all the way here.
Wow.
I can't believe I got all the way here.
Wow.
Very blessed. I'm so blessed.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, we definitely appreciate you, man. Like I said in the beginning, blessing us back in June. I had no idea. I really didn't grow up on blues, but when you came in, you brought the house down.
Yeah.
We had a great time, man. So we definitely had to make sure that you were part of our journey in this podcast that we're doing. So I do want to, as I wrap this up, I want to close with this segment which I created called Open Book. It's basically just putting the ball in your court and sharing through literacy and education, considering, this is a library. And so I do want to set the groundwork with this quote. This is a quote that has stuck with me probably for the past couple of years. And the quote is, the mind is like a parachute. If it's closed, it'll kill you. But if it's open, it'll save your life. And so that quote has always stuck with me because when we're operating out of a closed mind, to me that is some sort of a dream killer. It doesn't allow you to operate in your gifts. It doesn't allow you to operate in the focus or whatever you're going after. But if you have an open mind to new relationships, you have an open mind to creativity, you have an open mind to network with other people to better your craft, then that puts you in different positions to have the longevity that you have. And so this question in regards to literacy, how has understanding the importance of literacy and applying that to your music help you excel in your career?
Well, I think it's given me a chance to, for instance, learning about culture started with books. So, like I said, there's not a lot of music theory behind blues, but there's lots to read about culture and about how blues started, out of the history of our country. You know? And I think that's very, very key. And my mother was a career librarian, as I mentioned before.
Right.
And so anything that we would be interested in, she would point us to the books. And so I grew up around libraries, and anything that I was interested in, I would always look it up. Look up what book should I read? And I think that's it's very important because learning about culture gives you a background on really about anything that you want to learn.
Yeah, I agree with that. So as we close with this last question, what would you leave with our viewers and listeners in regard to gaining the necessary education in the music industry?
Always take in as much as you can. And always consider your learning never done.
Yes.
I'm still learning.
Yes.
I may have played 4 or 5 decades, but I'm still learning every day. There's always something you can learn. You never stop learning.
Yeah, that's definitely important. No matter what you do, no matter what space or genre, you
never think that you're done. Never think that you know it all, because you don't.
I definitely agree with that, Slim. Never think that you've already arrived, and there's always room for improvement. There's always room for growth. And so, man, this was amazing, man. Definitely great. We learned a lot about you. We learned a lot about the culture of blues and the ins and outs of the people that you work and collab with, man. And the stories, amazing. The first before the James Brown, the hard rock, like that's cool, man. So we're appreciative. Our team here, man, is appreciative of having you being our first guest, man.
My honor to help out the Forest Hill Public Library.
Yes.
My honor.
Yes. AKA On the Hill. That's our name that we've took and ran due to one of our guys, Mike and so that's our little nickname here.
On the Hill.
Yeah, On the Hill.
I love it.
Definitely, man. We appreciate you, man, for being on with us. How can people, I guess, get a hold of your music or listen to it?
I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
I use that to promote my shows. I have releases. Occasionally, I'll go into a record store and see one of my old CDs.
Wow.
But at the moment, like I said, I haven't had a release in 10 years, and I've mostly sold out of all my products, so I don't have anything at the moment. But that'll be changing really soon. I should have a new record out by early spring at the latest.
Okay.
So we got a bunch of new songs that we've written and rehearsed, and so things are about ready to be recorded. And so I'm continuing my education and continuing this blues music.
Appreciate you. We definitely appreciate you, being here with us. Once again, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Texas Slim,
Appreciate
for
it.
being on with us. Our first guest, y'all, podcast, Ordinary Conversations, man, with extraordinary people. The Forest Hill Public Library, aka The Hill, 6962 Forest Hill Drive in the beautiful city of Forest Hill, Texas, man. We will see you guys next Wednesday with our host, with our guest, Trelise B, who's an excellent and phenomenal violinist, man. So we look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday. This is Willie Beeman signing off. Peace.